Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome. We'll be starting our workshop now. To introduce Mr. Havish, Mr. Havish is the founder of Havish M Consulting and the co-founder of Decide Research and Analytics, which is top 20 most promising market research firms in India. He has a wide and diverse experience of more than 12 years in consulting and has been an expert instructor and teacher in the field of analytics. He has been collaborating with organizations on enterprise level and functional data analytics requirement. He has also conducted various workshops at prominent IIMs and IITs like IMA, IML, and also in many Fortune 500 companies. He's the recipient of various numerous titles, as in 40 under 40 innovators, top 10 entrepreneurs with an inspiring story in CIO Views 2020, 30 innovative startups to watch in 2019 in the CEO magazine 2019, top 10 trending speakers and thought leaders in Speak in 2019. We, the team of Bytes, would like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Havish for agreeing to conduct the analytics workshop in IIM Shillong. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So the purpose of having this 1 hour session before the training starts is for a couple of reasons. Uh, One reason is that even though I have taken sessions for larger batches earlier, as large as 200, 250 students, it never has been in the format of a hands-on training that we're attempting to do here, especially not such a long, drawn-out training. So hence, it's important to take the boxes and plan it very well, because it shouldn't happen that the strength of the number is an excuse for a compromise in the quality of the session, right? And that goes both ways. Um, this shouldn't be a formality wherein I'm conducting the training and everybody is okay with it. We have to have some expectations set out and we have to meet them. And that means that we have to plan it really well. The second reason is that I haven't interacted with you guys earlier. I have engaged with, I think, 14 of the other IIMs in the past in various capacities as for a guest lecture, as a judge for a competition, for some non-credit courses, workshops, obviously, and as some students do their live projects and internships with me. And obviously, each campus, I'm sure you would agree, has its own culture and own way of working. And since I haven't worked with you guys before, I thought it was important for me to meet you in person. I'm not sure if any of you have interacted with me in the past. Perhaps you might have, or at some competition, most likely, or maybe in one of the free sessions that I conduct. But yeah, the idea was to just get on a quick call and say hello. And the third reason is that in any case, when I work with the college for a new exercise like a workshop, I always like to talk to the organizers at the very least and have sure that the expectation setting is very clear. Having taught colleges for a very long time, as of now, I'm doing trainings at MDI Murshidabad, at IIM Kozhikode for the business leadership batch at Delhi School of Economics, and I just finished one with XIMB. That's all in the span of these 15 days. So I understand these schools very well. And I say that purely because of the amount of work and sweat and blood I've put into it. I have spent a lot of my time engaging with students and visiting campuses and understanding student requirements and building that content. I was a faculty earlier. During the zigzag of my career, I spent a couple of years in hardcore academic research. I taught full time at a few colleges as well. So B School obviously is something very close to my heart. And despite the fact that I work as a corporate trainer and consultant, B Schools is at least equally, if not more important for me. Maybe not so much as a revenue stream, but definitely as a pursuit of interest for me. Okay. Right. So I just want to give you my quick background just in 2 minutes, just give you a sense of what is it that I do. So I think the introduction fairly mentioned it, but broadly, my background is not from core analytics. I'm a non-engineer, a non-coder, a BBA and an MBA in marketing and finance. I started my career with sales, but I've been academically fairly particular, right? So I knew I wanted to get into teaching and academic research. So I was a gold medalist. I picked up a career in sales because I wanted to challenge myself and do something different. Worked with Reckitt Benckiser for 3 years, then came to academic research, wrote a lot of research papers and books, helped other people with their PhD thesis. I pursued my PhD for 4 years, then I dropped out of it. Ran some market research startups for a couple of years. That happened purely by accident. And then, of course, now I'm doing Havisham Consulting full time. Going to complete 2 years in February. But throughout this entire journey, I have always been working in analytics. Analytics for me means Excel, right? And then that love for Excel branched out into other areas. So I started working on Power BI, then on Visual Basic. Okay, so first Visual Basic, then on Power BI. Then I started learning Python, then I started learning R. Today, of course, I'm a polyglot, so I work on many different platforms and languages. But my expertise is in Excel and Power BI, right? Um, so that's my T level. So my T is very broad, which means that I work in very different platforms. But at the same time, my expertise is in that vertical line, which is in Excel and Power BI. So if somebody asks me, what do you do? I'm an Excel and Power BI guy, out and out. But yes, I do work on other platforms, Tableau being a very important one, where I'm investing a lot of my time and effort. And then other areas like R and Python is on a use case basis. Not being a coder throughout my life, having only done coding for the last 5, 6 years, my journey has been quite different than other people. But yes, that's something I spend a lot of my time doing, and I'm fairly good at it. Okay. In terms of the outline that we have, we are doing a session on Excel. We're doing 2 sessions on Power BI and 3 sessions on Power BI, 2 sessions on Tableau. Some of you might have worked on these things earlier. Some of you might have heard of it. Some of you might be absolutely new to this, and that's completely okay. The idea for the training is to bring everybody at the same level very quickly and then give you an introduction to advanced topics. See, I have been working with Power BI for 2.5 years now. I started in March 2018. Um, so I work as a trainer for PwC and EY. I've been working with them for a couple of years now. And I spend a lot of my time with these firms. So with professional services and the consulting firms, I spend about a third of my year. So 100 trainings a year I do with firms like BCG, Bain, PwC, EY, D Shaw on same areas, Excel, Power BI, Tableau. And my journey started in 2018, and I have spent a lot of time and effort on Power BI. Tableau I have been working on extensively for about a year now. So the idea here is that you can't learn everything, okay, in the span of whatever it is, 10 hour, 12 hour, 16 hour, 40 hour workshop or a course. It's a journey. It's not a destination, right? So if somebody asks me how much time will it take for us to master it, it's a foolish question, right? Because by the time you learn what is there, they would have launched 10 more features. These areas are still developing, even Excel for that matter. There are so many new things in Excel that they're constantly innovating, and with AI and ML becoming a very integral part of all of these tools, in mostly in Power BI and Excel, a little less in Tableau, you realize that it opens up new avenues, things that we couldn't have thought of earlier, right? Yeah, so the idea is that don't be very clear in terms of what you want to do. I always believe learning the how is not very important, but learning the what and the why is important, right? Let me explain that. A lot of people say, oh, could you show us the formula again? I missed out one part. It's not important to learn the formula, guys, because you can always get the formula from the internet, from the documentation, go online and ask somebody. But why are we writing that formula? What problem are we trying to solve? That is important. If a client gives you a problem statement, like I work with Amazons and Flipkarts of the world, and they give you a problem statement, they're not interested to know whether you can memorize the formula or not and you can parrot it to them. They're more interested if you can tell them which is the correct formula to use, right? So if they give me I do a lot of financial modeling. So if they give me a problem statement and I have to tell them which is the right formula, or the set of formulas to be used, that is what is more important. If I tell them I don't remember the arguments and I might have to go online and check up on some existing work, that's completely okay. Nobody cares about that. So it's a very big misconception where people say, oh my God, how will I remember it? What if I forget it? Nobody is going to judge you. As an interviewer, I always feel it is more important, and I work with a lot of CXOs, so they tell me the same thing. We are more interested to see if a person knows what is VLOOKUP, what are the errors that happen with VLOOKUP, and what is the approach you should take. If somebody just tells us, oh, VLOOKUP has 4 arguments and its lookup value and table array and column index number and range lookup, that is important for me because I'm a trainer, right? I have to train other people. But for you as a consultant, as an analyst, how is it important if you remember all the arguments? I mean, if Excel wanted you to remember all the arguments, why do they show you all the arguments when you're writing? Okay. And this is something I will parrot again and again and again. You know, I'm like a broken record. I always tell students, please do not focus on memorizing all these things. It doesn't matter. Remembering is not important. What formula and function you have to use, that is more crucial, right? Okay, now how does Power BI and Tableau look? For those of some of you might have seen it earlier. Those of you who haven't seen it earlier, I'm not going to explain it right now, but I just want you to see how it looks, what type of dashboards can be created. And I will give you examples from different industries so you get a sense of what all is possible. Right, so what we have here is a Power BI dashboard. You can also view this on my website on havishamconsulting.com. You cannot view this on the phone, so you'll have to view this on a laptop. You can do this later. So this is a sales dashboard. As you can see, I can have my forecast and my locations, and it looks very much like a PowerPoint, right? But the big difference is that it's all dynamic. So for example, if I want to see the forecast for a specific period or for a different segment, we can do that, right? And there is no one template. So that's why you would notice that every single dashboard that I show you is going to be different than the previous one. Like this is an HR dashboard, right? This is another HR dashboard. And right, this is quite a flashy dashboard with a lot of tooltips and charts within charts and stuff like that. This is based on a project I did for the US client. Of course, the data is all sanitized. It's not real data. But yeah, this is the sort of work that companies would expect you to do. Then these are finance dashboards where I can see sort of movement over time and a lot of different things, right? So let's say root cause analysis, you're working in financial planning analysis. So like this is mostly used in, let's say stock market, right? Then you have these decomposition trees that is very important for financial planning and analysis, where you're working on budgeting and annual operating plans. This is like a much better version of the pivot table. Right? And the reason I'm showing all this to you, not explaining it right now, is because you get a sense of, oh, this is what it looks like. You know, how is it different from Excel and how is it different from PowerPoint? This is how it is different. The quality, the flexibility, and the variety that you have in Power BI will be so much more than what you can even fathom in Excel and PowerPoint, right? Right. Again, you can go back and have a look at all of these. I don't want to do it right now. This is a Tableau dashboard. And if you want to view even more, you can just Google search, just say Tableau dashboards and Power BI dashboards, you'll find a lot of these. So again, the challenge of creating a dashboard is not about learning the tools, right? It's also about the creativity and understanding the client problem and creating a story and a narrative. So what should be the first slide that you present? What should be the second slide that you present? How do you present your key performance indicators? How do you highlight the critical areas? How do you highlight the positives in the business? Now, how do you learn all of that? There is no easy answer, right? The only answer here is that you have to, I'm assuming that some of you are in first year and in final year. The only option is to do live projects and work on a lot of competitions. And when you see what others are doing, you learn a lot from it. I don't know about other competitions, but at least when I judge a competition, I always make sure that I tell the coordinators to share everybody's presentations with everybody else. Otherwise, there's no point. Otherwise, you apply for a competition, you get a prize, you don't get a prize. What's the big deal, right? So it's very important to see what others are doing. Don't keep yourself in your comfort zone. I'm hyper competitive. I constantly track what others are doing. And if I see what they're doing and I like it, and I think that I don't know it, I have to learn it too. And that is something, at least from the data analytics profile, you have to be very particular about. Data analytics is like being a professional, it's not like marketing and sales and HR where you learn things once and it's about execution, right? So if you're a brand manager, once you learn the fundamentals, there's nothing new to learn, right? You just have to execute very well. You have to run campaigns, you have to track research, research studies, and you have to speak to your customers, handle your dealers, stuff like that. But there is no study that comes after your MBA is over. Data analytics is very different. In data analytics, it's not just about finishing the last chapter of the book and starting to work. You have to constantly keep on studying every single day. I've spent 20 years working on Excel. I've authored 20 books, right? My 20th book just got published today on Excel charts. And believe me, I still study 40, 50 hours every week on Excel. Uh, it's I mean on all platforms, right? So it's you have to. How do you take out the time? I don't know. You just have to take out the time and you have to study. And I mean all these things very strongly, right? So if you notice, look at my bookmarks. I always joke with people that my bookmarks have bookmarks because there are so many bookmarks that I have is so much that I read. So I'm not just hoarding it. I'm not just nicely collecting everything. Everything is neatly cataloged, perfectly listed. So every project that I've worked on in the past has been documented so that whenever I need something, I know exactly where to find it, right? And you notice for every single thing that I work on, you'll find these. It's a very good habit that I fortunately built when I was in college. I was using Evernote at that time, around that time. And I never left this, right? And I'm so happy that I have sort of created my own Wikipedia, so to say, where whatever I need, I know where it is, and I don't have to go to Google and search for it. It's not important again to memorize stuff. It's more important to know where to get the right answer. And I'm very good at getting the right answer. If you have a problem in Excel and I have a problem in Excel, and neither of us have seen it, I can guarantee I can find it earlier than you. If you and I have both a problem in something we don't know, let's say something related to Alteryx, a new software, I can still guarantee I can find the answer earlier than you. And that's not because of my experience. That's simply because I have trained myself how to search better online, right? I'm a prolific searcher. I know exactly how to get the right answer. You can give me a 10-page PDF or you can give me a 50-page web page and I just know how to search for the right answer, how to locate the right thing in a forum and in a blog. So these are certain skill sets that you have to build. Right? Now, um, we have the outline with us. So we're going to do Excel, 2 sessions of Tableau and Power BI. What are these tools? We don't really need to talk about it right now since we have enough time in the training to cover all of these things. So I'll not get into that right now. But yes, I do want to give you a little bit of background of basic Excel because Excel is the bread and butter, right? You can't work on Power BI and Tableau if your Excel file is not prepared, right? So the purpose of doing this short session was just to acquaint you with what all is it that you have to learn. I've already shared the access to the teachable courses with you, so you can have a look at that. But what is the checklist? What all other things that you need to know in Excel? Right? That's something I want to cover. Before I do this, anything anyone would like to ask? Anything on your mind?
Guys, please raise your hands if you have any queries.
Yeah, you can raise your hand or put it on the chat window. Either way, I'm comfortable. I'll be okay with answering. See, the sessions are going to be recorded. The recordings will be shared with you on the same teachable platform. It is a hands-on training, which means that you will be working with me, but not on every single thing. I would say that, let's say out of 10 examples, you'll be working with me on 6 examples. So 4 examples you can watch, 6 examples you work with me. The reason I don't want you to do every single thing with me is because if we do that, it will take a lot of time, right? And we will not be able to cover a lot of topics. So while it is a hands-on training, it's not a lecture. Yes, there will be a few areas where I ask you to put down your hands and not to do it with me, just to observe, and you can always practice it later. I'll share the files and the problem statements and the solutions with you. All right. Just give me a second. I'll open the right folder so that this is a little faster. See, these are things we will not have time to cover in the Excel training. This is just the basics of Excel, but most of you hopefully would know this, but the ones who don't, is just a quick check so that you have these tick marks, because when the session starts, I don't want that somebody feels they're being left out because you haven't done this. Now, there are a few things that are super important in Excel. One is pivot tables, the other is conditional statements, which are if statements, and the third is VLOOKUP. These three things are super important without even asking you what profile and function you're working in. So whether you're in data, whether you're in HR, whether you're in finance, you have to do these things, right? That goes without saying. If any of you have work experience, I'm sure you will agree with me. VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, and if statements. Okay, so I quickly want to give you like a 5-minute demonstration of what these things are. And of course, if you want to study these in more detail, since we have a little bit of a window, I would suggest if you can do the course that is already there on Teachable. The basic idea of pivot tables, I'm assuming that most of you have worked on it, but in case somebody hasn't worked on it, or if you haven't worked on it a lot, the basic idea of a pivot table is that it's a summarized format of the data. When I click on insert and I click on pivot table in the top left corner, if you see the description, it says it's a summarized format of the data. We don't want to look at the entire report that has 10,000 records in it. We just want to see a summary of the data. Is pivot something particular to Excel? Absolutely not. So if any of you work on, let's say, Python or R, you notice that even in Python, you have something called pivot, right? So you have a data frame pivot, which works in pandas. If you're working in pandas and NumPy, you still have to know what pivots are. See, the good part is that Excel is not a very unusual language. Yes, it's a slightly different platform than programming languages, but at the end of the day, I mean, most of the things are similar between different things, right? That's what you have to understand. Like if you're working on R, right? And I say my table and a dollar and a column. What does it mean? It means that from a table, I'm going to select a column. The syntax here is a dollar sign, right? I don't know how to show it to you, but anyway, so the dollar here means that you're selecting a specific column from a table. If I have to do the same thing on Excel, I can do it. If you notice, when I have a table with me, right, from my first table, if I have to select, let's say, the ship mode column, I can write equal to table 1, a left bracket, and then select ship mode. Now, the good part is that whatever you learn in any other language, in a way, will help you with Excel as well for more advanced topics. And what you learn on Excel can then be learned for other languages as well. So don't ever feel that, oh, this is completely different. Yes, there would be a few things that are very different to other platforms, but there is more or less a lot of similarity that is there. Yeah, so the idea of a pivot is that it's a summarized data set. So if I click on pivot, I have a list of all the fields on the left side, on the right side, and then it is giving me 4 options. So I have filters, I have columns, I have values, and I have rows. All right. So if I want to look at my region, I can select my region and put it in rows. I can select my sales and put this in values. Right. Now, there are calculations that are inbuilt inside Excel. So if I right click and I click on show values, there are some calculations I can do. Like I can change the number into an average or a count. I can view this as a percentage of the total. I can view the rank. I can view a running total for cumulative totals, stuff like that. Obviously, I'll not be able to cover all of these. It's there in the pivot table course, but just to let you know that pivot tables are so powerful because they tell the user you don't have to bother, right? So the basic idea is you can just write equal to and then divide the first number by the last number. But why go through that hassle to get a 21.81% when you can simply right click on show value percentage of column total. As you can see, you get these numbers, right? Does it tell you what formula was written? No, it just does it magically. But you still have to know that there is something hidden behind the scene, which is enabling you to do this, right? But that's the beauty of pivot tables. It allows you to create these summaries. If you want to get a sense of what pivot tables can do, you can look at the course, or you can also look at a website called chandu.org. Chandu is a website started by a guy called Purna Dugirala. He's from Hyderabad. He's settled in New Zealand now. He's in the top 50 Excel developers in the world. And he has been working on Excel for a very long time, right? So he's the most valuable professional, one of the few hundred people in the world who works on Excel at this level. And here you can see a lot of these dashboards that have been created, and you can even download it. The idea here is not to learn it. The idea here is just to get a sense of, okay, all of this is possible with pivot tables. See, the biggest problem in learning technology is we don't know what we don't know. And that can't be an excuse. You can't say, oh, I wasn't aware that I can do these things. You were not aware that there is a website like this. I'm telling you there is a website like this. But now it is up to you that you have to go to the website and download something and see how it works, right? I can't do that for you, okay? The website is Chandu, CHANDOO.org. I'll just share the link on the chat window. The other very important thing in Excel is if statements. Now, if statements are there in every programming language. So that means that if you're working on Java, JavaScript, R, C, Python, it doesn't matter. If statements will always be there, correct? I just want to give you a ready-made solution of a problem statement so that you get a sense of how this is written on Excel. And then, of course, we'll be doing this in Tableau and Power BI both, okay? The question here, the question says, you are the loan manager of a fintech startup and you have to give loans to applicants. But there is a condition. A person can only get a loan if their CIBIL score is 750 plus and their monthly earning is 30,000 plus, right? Or their CIBIL score is 650 plus, monthly earning is 50,000 plus, and they don't have any existing loans. And if the person has a CIBIL score of 650 plus and a monthly earning of 40,000 plus, and he does have an existing loan, but he's married, he or she is married, then you can give a conditional loan. The logic here is that when you apply for a loan, if your spouse is also working, the bank likes it because if you lose your job, at least your spouse can pay for the loan. So the chances of defaulting is lesser, right? These are very simple problem statements that I've given here. Of course, real life is much more complex, but this is how you can build a formula using if statements that allow you to take into account all these factors. Like here, I'm saying that the person to get the loan, there are two ways. Either the CIBIL is 750 plus and the salary is 30,000 plus, or the CIBIL is 650 plus, salary is 50,000 plus, and no existing loan. If either of these are met, the person will get a loan. Or we check if the person has 650 plus, 40,000 plus, and the marital status is yes, the person gets a conditional loan. If none of these are met, the person does not get a loan. Right? This is an everyday job. Wherever you are, you have to write if statements because there will always be a need for choosing a path. Did the person get a bonus? Did the customer receive the order? Did I get a good feedback? Has the product been delivered? Whatever business context you're talking about, there will always be a need to check whether something happened or did not happen. If it happened, what action do you take? Otherwise, what recourse do you take? So if statements are the second most important thing in Excel after pivot tables, right? And the final thing is VLOOKUP, which is, again, I'm sure most of you would have worked on VLOOKUP, but just in case anybody wants a quick refresher, I have an entire course on pivot, an entire course on VLOOKUP, okay? So in case you haven't worked on VLOOKUP, let me just give you a simple example here. The basic idea of VLOOKUP is that I want to search for a value called Darren from a list of all my names. And wherever Darren is found, I want to get a result from the corresponding third column like this, right? I'll give a very simple example. When you call up a bank over a call, you call up customer care and you say, can you No, you say that I have paid my bill, but I'm still getting messages that I haven't paid my bill. What does it tell you? So let me check on the system and tell you if you have paid the bill or not. What is showing on my system? Now, obviously, they're not writing a literal VLOOKUP at that time. They have a system, right? They punch in your mobile number, and then your mobile number is searched from that database that the company has, and you check in that column to see whether bill is paid or not paid. So what is happening behind the scene is a VLOOKUP, isn't it? Just think about it. You call up the customer care, you say, I have paid my bill, but why am I getting a message saying I have not paid it? They say, sir, can you just hold on? Let me check if you have paid the bill or not. Now, if you're calling up Airtel, they have a huge database of what, 30, 32 crore customers. And there is a column that signifies whether you have paid or not paid the current month bill, right? And that's a database, obviously not an Excel file, but it's a table, right? It's a database somewhere. The moment you say, can you search for my number? Will they not search for your number in the entire list and look in the appropriate column and get you the result? Now, obviously, when you're working with databases, you're using SQL, for example. But the same thing we are doing in Excel as well. What we do on SQL, which is called a left outer join, the computer engineers would know this. The left outer join, which you use in SQL, is nothing but a VLOOKUP, right? VLOOKUP and a left outer join is exactly the same thing. There are a few differences because SQL is much more powerful, but the basic idea is a VLOOKUP is meant for what? In one line, a VLOOKUP states that you're searching for a specific record from a large database, and it just searches for that record for you. Simple. I want to know if this purchase order has a GST applicable or not. I want to know whether this particular invoice number has been dispatched or not. That is what VLOOKUP helps you with. A lot of people say, but now we have better technology and BI tools and data visualization. Why do we still need VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP is the third most used function in the world after sum and average. Think about it. Excel has more than 600 functions. VLOOKUP is the third most used function in the world. It was a research done by Microsoft. What does that tell you? It tells you that VLOOKUP is always going to be there because the use is only going to increase. The more data that is being captured by organizations, the more the need to get the data you want, right? Hence, VLOOKUP will always be there. Now, with time, changes have happened. So we have a function called lookup, right? Then we have a function called VLOOKUP. Then we have a function called HLOOKUP. And these three have always been there. Then we have slightly more advanced functions called index. We have match. We have indirect. We have address. And we have offset, right? So I just write this down. We have VLOOKUP, we have HLOOKUP, we have lookup, we have index, match, address, offset, cell, row and rows, column and columns, and indirect, right? These are what we call modeling functions. So any model that you're creating, and I will give you some examples, will always require functions like these because this is what makes the formulas dynamic. Most of you would have worked on VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, maybe index and match. Maybe some of you have worked on offsets. Most of you would not have worked on index, match, address, indirect, and stuff like that. Like the cell is a very powerful function, very different to every other function on Excel. Now a new function called XLOOKUP has been added, equal to XLOOKUP. It's not a replacement for VLOOKUP. It shares a lot of common areas with VLOOKUP, but it's a new function. You can Google it, you'll find it. It's there in my VLOOKUP course. Then you have other corresponding functions like XMatch and stuff like that, right? So yeah, so that's what we'll be working on. So when we work on Power BI, we'll be learning something called Power Query, which is I know I'm throwing a lot of things at you, but at least now you're aware. So we'll be doing something called Power Query, which is an ETL tool like SQL, which works on both Excel and on Power BI, which allows you to clean, transform, prepare your data. Like you use tidyverse on R or NumPy and Pandas on Python. Similarly, Power Query is available for Windows. But yeah, in Excel, of course, everything is important, but the three most important things are VLOOKUP, if statements, and pivot tables. A lot of your work happens between these things. Obviously, in if statements, there is a lot more. There is average if, max if, count if, sum if, stuff like that. right? Yeah, any questions so far, anybody? Just give me a second. Yeah, so don't worry if you feel that, oh my God, I don't know so many of these things. That's completely okay. But yes, ideally, when you work on a more advanced topic, it's important to have the fundamentals clear. Now, I don't expect you to quickly learn everything in a day or 2 days, but the very least I would expect is that if you can go to exceljet.com, everyone, exceljet.com, at the very least, what I want you all to do is to just go to functions and read a little bit about these 3 4 things that I've told. It's not necessary, like we can still do Tableau and Power BI if you don't know about them, but if you do it, it will help. It will make it simpler for you and for me. Okay, there are all functions mentioned here, all the important ones. Just quickly do a search, look at VLOOKUP. I'm not even asking you to practice all of this. I'm just asking you to read the documentation once. Right? And everything is very visual. So they've given you an example, a problem statement, and they've explained how it works. It's just like 1 or 2 pages for each topic. If you can maybe just spend a couple of hours and do this, this will really help you. Power BI and Tableau don't read anything. It's not required because I'll be taking you from absolute scratch, right? And you'll be creating a dashboard with me. In fact, just to share with you what I've done for IIM Code, this was a 10, 8 hours training on Tableau. These guys have never worked on Tableau earlier and see what they managed to create in 8 hours. This is their work, okay? All of them have done this. Just see this. So we created a map of the world where I can also go to a state and a city level, right? Then we created different types of maps. We created PAT, bubble charts, scatter charts, customer clusters. Then we created dynamic high, mid, low profit values. We created dynamic reference lines that allow us to see how many values are above or below target. We have done top countries, so I can see all my top countries or maybe only the top 25. This is a tree map. We created a sales profit comparison. We created reference lines. Again, we created animations like this, which allows you to see the change over time. Yeah, so these are my moving averages for finance. Then we did some, anyway, you will not understand it here, but we did some advanced calculations, right, which we call level of detail, and there's some comparisons here as well, right? So you can see the contribution of one subcategory versus the total. All of this we have managed to do in an 8-hour workshop. So you expect to do more or less the same thing. We have a little bit lesser time, but that's okay. We still managed to cover a lot of this, right? So don't read anything about Tableau and Power BI because it's best to come unprepared. Because if you read something wrong from here and there, then you will have some questions and I will not have time to answer it. If you have already worked on it, well and good, but don't read anything before coming for the training. That's my expectation from you. Just come with just a fresh mind and an attitude to learn. That's all I want. But yes, for the Excel training, if you guys can maybe just quickly go through ExcelJet and look at a few of these functions, that would really help. In terms of what courses I've shared with you, there are 10 courses on Excel. So there is basic Excel, data cleaning, VLOOKUP, pivot table, charts, date, VBA, financial program, financial modeling, dynamic arrays, and Power Query. The 10 courses are about 20 to 23 hours of recording, right? So this will take you months to complete, right? Not something you can just finish in a day. This is literally 23 hours of recording. Then there are 2 courses on Power BI, 5 plus 3, 2 courses on Tableau, 3 plus 3, 4 courses on Python, about 8, 10 hours. And then I have a 5, 6 hour course on R as well. The courses that you see here, everyone, on Python and R is for absolute beginners. So if you have never worked with R and Python earlier, you don't even know how to install it, then this is the course for you, right? This is not meant for people who have already been working with these languages for a while and want to learn something more. The target audience here is for literally absolute beginners, right? Somebody who doesn't know what a comment is and doesn't know how to write that first line of code. So if you're interested in pursuing, at least adding this to your skill set, Python and R, then these courses have been made for you. Right? Yeah, so I've given you a lot of content. It's 55 hours of content. In what order, at what pace should you do it? How many times should you practice it? I'm not going to comment on that. Everybody's journey is different. Where you're going to apply, how much do you want to work in data? I don't know that. And I can't counsel you on a one-on-one basis. But yes, if you're in finance, learning Visual Basic is not necessary. It's you have to. There's no choice, right? If you're in marketing and sales, learning Power BI is a must from a data visualization perspective. If you're in HR and finance, then learning Power BI for Power Query. Data cleaning is very important. See, marketing and sales guys don't have to clean data. They have to create presentations and come up with insights. HR and finance have to do a lot of data cleaning. They don't have to create interesting charts and visualizations. No, they just have to prepare the data and create a model. Marketing guys don't have to create any model because there's one file given to them and they just have to look at what sold, what did not sell, correct? So yes, how you use these software will depend on the functions that you're working in. Now, which one is more important, Power BI or Tableau? I can't answer that. It depends on the clients that you work with. Like my clients, I work with a lot of CPG companies. So Kimberly-Clark, Britannia, GSK, they're all working on Power BI. But yes, they also have teams in the company that are working on Tableau. So that's what I mean, right? So different companies will be working on different platforms. Any large company will be working on all the platforms. It's not that they'll work exclusively on Power BI or exclusively on Tableau. I think both of them are so large that every company is at least experimenting with both of them. It's not possible that they're working on only one of them. Right? Yeah, good. That's that. I also have a YouTube channel where there are 349 videos. This is not the same videos that are there in the course. These are different videos, and here there are different playlists. So there are 60-second tips on PowerPoint, on Excel, then how to create consulting infographics, some courses on VBA, right? There is a little bit of overlap between what is there on the course and here, but more or less this is different content that you would find, right, on the channel. And this is slightly smaller content, so it's more bite-sized. It's easier for you to watch this. Like, I just came up with this a week back. This is a lot of people were asking me. So these are 60-second tips on PowerPoint. Okay. So maybe if you're interested, you can have a look at this as well. I'll just share the link with you. Great, guys, that's all from my side. So just to summarize once again, Power BI and Tableau, no preparation required, right? Excel, very light reading from Excel check, okay? Right, but don't stress too much. Do not stress too much. It can be done later also, okay? In terms of the training, yes, it will be hands-on training, about 50 to 70%, depending on the topic, right? But obviously, the recording will be shared on Teachable. And the end of workshop group project will also be shared so that you guys can practice what you've learned, share it with me, and I can subsequently share my feedback with you. Yeah, that's that. If you have any questions, you can ask.
So you can raise your hands if you have any questions.
Anything, guys. See, this is not a college lecture. The idea here is for you to get your doubts resolved. So there are no silly questions. Whatever it is that is on your mind, please ask. It's a safe environment. Nobody's going to laugh at you. And if other people laugh at you, it doesn't matter. If you have a question, you have a question.
Vishal, you can go ahead.
Tell me.
Sir, I just want to ask, like, which is more frequently used, Tableau or Power BI?
See, it's not like Excel where there is no competition in the market. Google Sheets is not a competition to Excel. 99% of companies don't work on Google Sheets. No, they work on Excel. In the case of Power BI and Tableau, the market is not that simple. It's perfect competition, right? Like if I ask you, which is the most sold, which is the most popular luxury car in the world? What does that even mean? There are lots of brands, right? So everything is selling. Mercedes also sells, Audi also sells, and Jaguar also sells, right? So what I mean to say is, one second, just want to show you something. You have a lot of different players in the market. So Power BI and Tableau are not the only two data visualization tools. We have Google Studio, which is Looker. We have SAP BI. We have Oracle BI. We have Sisense. We have SAS, Click, ThoughtSpot, and all of them are very large. Like a lot of consulting firms use Click, for example, right? IBM also has a tool called Cognos. So the answer to that question, which is more popular, which is more frequently used, that's not the right question. The question should be which types of companies are using which one. There is again no pattern there, right? Like I used to work with clients that have been working on Tableau for 10 years and now they are switching over to Power BI because they find Power BI better for whatever reason. So, and like Amazon and Flipkart's work on all of them. They work on Power BI also, they work on Tableau also, they work on Click also, right? So yeah, so there is no clear answer there as to which one you should learn. But yes, the good part is that if you learn one, learning the other one becomes a little easier. They're still very different to each other, but more or less the visualization part of the tools are fairly similar, right? So that there's a bit of an overlap there. But if you're in finance, then Power BI is a must. It's not a choice. If you're in marketing and sales, it depends on the companies that you're working with. Right.
Nishit, you can go ahead.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, do we need to purchase the subscription, 1 year subscription for Tableau? and
Yeah,
Power
I'm
BI,
so
or-
sorry. Rahul, I haven't shared the details for downloading the softwares yet, no?
No.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so I will be sharing you don't have to pay for anything, first things first. There are first years in this batch too, right? Rahul?
It's dominated
Yeah.
first years, so we have a few second years as well.
Okay, no, just checking. So do the first years have their mark sheet with them? Like, are your examinations done? Have you given one exam at least?
Yeah, we have, but we haven't received the the result as of now.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why I'm asking that. See, Power BI is free. Okay. Tableau public is free and Tableau desktop, right, is free for students for 1 year, but you will need to upload your mark sheet.
Actually, sir, I have done this. We don't need to upload the mark sheet. We just it's just a small mail that we don't have to upload mark sheet. Actually, I have done this.
Okay, great. So then maybe some proof of you being a student has to be done because I did this with IMK and they all told me that it was not accepting their submission because they said that you need to upload your mark sheet. But anyway, good to know. So what is it that you uploaded for this student ID? Okay.
Student ID, yeah.
That's strange. They also had a student ID. Anyway, so you guys will simply have to go to Tab. I'll share the links with you. Power BI will be completely free. Tableau, you will download Tableau Desktop. This is also called Power BI Desktop. Both of them are desktops only, okay? Yeah, so you'll be able to download, ignore this one, no, we don't need this. Power BI Desktop will be free. Tableau Desktop will be free for 1 year for students. Even though it's paid, it's $840 per year. Don't pay for it. You'll be able to download it free of cost. I'll share the links with you.
Can you also tell about Mac users? You told me that Power BI is not available for Mac users.
Yeah, so Tableau is available for both Windows and Mac. Power BI is only available for Windows. So Mac users can work directly on the cloud, right? Which is called Power BI service. And I would say 80% of features will be there. Right? I hope that makes sense. Mac users will obviously get some lesser features, unfortunately, because Power BI is a Windows software, so it's not available for the Mac. either you have a dual partition. If you have Windows installed on your Mac, I don't think you do. If you do, then you can install Power BI. But if you don't, then yeah, you don't have really a choice. But you can work on the cloud directly. I'll share this with you. The Mac users obviously cannot download it right now. You don't need to do anything. The day of the training, I'll tell you what. No, in fact, I'll share the link with you, how you can create an account. If you're interested in doing a Windows plus Mac, you can look at Parallels. This is what all my clients use, which allows you to run Windows and Mac, right? Which allow you to create a virtual machine. It's about $80 or something. So it's not very expensive. If you are interested, right, to install Windows, then you can use Parallels. Right. Good. So links I'll share. Great. What else? After the first session is done, after the Excel training is done, I'll be creating a Google form, which will be a public form shared with all of you. So anybody who has a question, an observation, something to say, you can put it on that form. You know, that way what will happen is that I will also read it. And in case, you know, a lot of requests are coming to focus on one thing or do something else, I can't guarantee that I'll do it, but I'll definitely keep it in mind, right? So I'm not sharing it right now because we have the Excel session. Let's do the Excel session and it just be a blank form where you can just put your name and whatever it is that you are asking so that, you know, we have some way of capturing everybody's comments. Right, what else?
Like guys, feel free to ask anything. Avish is here to anything related to analytics, to the domain. You no need to limit your questions to Excel or Power BI or Tableau. You can ask anything. Future prospects or application of analytics, marketing, anything. Feel free.
Yeah, Siddharth, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. So even I'm from a non-tech background, and even I have a lot of interest in Excel and this field. So is there anything specific that I can pick up so that I can excel in this field? Because like in our internship placements, so I felt I have a little bit of a lag because of my background when it comes to roles like IT consulting. So I just wanted to improve in that area.
Yeah, so I think going forward, I'm not talking about right now, but going forward, the three most important things which will have to be showcased is Excel, Power BI, and Python, right? And let me also explain why I say that. Excel is always going to be there. If anybody tells you, no, 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 we don't use Excel, Excel will not be there, other tools will take over. Believe me, people have been telling me this for 10 years, right? And I always have a very simple thing that I tell a client, you give me a good replacement and I will stop working on Excel. I will stop working on Excel. And nobody has been able to do that. Just to give you a simple example, why Excel is so important. Excel is not the same Excel it used to be, which means right now there is a feature called analyze data. If you can see in the top right corner, it's a new feature. It's an AI feature. Some of you might have it also. What it does is I can give it any data set without writing any formulas, no function, no context. This is using Microsoft Cognitive Services, which is Microsoft's AI, and it is giving me answers. How cool is that? Look at this. It tells me this is your subcategory region. It tells me this is my discount by region. But you know what is even better than that? I can ask questions real time. So I can say, who are my top 5 customers in the West region in 2015 for the consumer segment? Any question, press enter, a few seconds, and it gives you the answer. So the entire concept of how we used to work on Excel, how I have been working on Excel for so many years, has changed, right? Because now with the ability of AI and ML to impact the way we work daily, for our daily tasks. I mean, imagine this, like we used to teach people how to get the top 5 customers, make a pivot, apply a sort and filter, click on the top end filter. It's not needed anymore. You can just ask a question like this, right? And this is just the beginning. Imagine how crazy things will be in another 1 or 2 years. In another 1 or 2 years, the focus will not be on a person knowing the right formulas in the function. It is about being able to ask the right questions. Right? It is already happening. So this is live. Okay. This is not something where I'm giving you a vision into the future. These things are already there. Just allow me to show you one more thing. Microsoft is working on something called HoloLens. Again, a lot of people say, oh, this is all uh, just, these marketing teams are working on all these things. When will it happen? This is already happening. My clients are working on these things. 1 second. So HoloLens, Power BI. Look at this. It's a 1.5 minute video and we have time. So I want to play this. I'll also turn on the computer sound. Just watch this, okay? And I'll increase the speed a little bit so it finishes a little faster. So these things are already there. Some of my clients are working on it, international clients. Then Power BI Tableau is also available for mobile now. I mean, obviously these are very early days, but the idea here is it's going to be voice-based. So there are companies that are already working on voice-based insights. So you can literally go to WhatsApp. You can go to WhatsApp. You can type, who are my top 5 customers? Which are my top 5 selling products? And it gives you the answer. A friend of mine is running this company called Alpha.ai. He's an ex-Microsoft, and he does these AI-assisted analytics, right? And it's absolutely fantastic. You can just go to WhatsApp, ask a question, what is the monthly phone sales and profit, and it gives you the answer. So, this is when a new technology or a completely new revolution in a technology comes. People say, no, this is all nice, but will it ever become a mass market product? The same thing people used to say for Power BI also, no? Power BI is only 5 years old. In 2017, when I used to tell clients, and 18, please start working in Power BI, they used to laugh at me, okay? I work with CXOs, right? So, I mean, not literally laugh, but they used to say, Havish, what is this? We will work on Excel and PowerPoint. I don't want to teach my team all these new things because they will come and it's a fad and it will die. Look at it today. I'm doing trainings on Power BI for the sort of clients you will never think would want to learn technology. These Lala companies like the Tata Powers of the world and Tata Motors and DCM Shriram, which are so conservative in their mindset, right? And they're so backward in terms of their technical know-how. They're also learning Power BI because it's so simple to learn and they realize there is a need for doing all these things. So Excel is not the same Excel it was. So, I mean, of course, I'm an Excel guy, so I would love to talk about it. 1 second. So there are these add-ins available now on Excel, and Excel now supports JavaScript. So you can do the sort of things on Excel that these are apps basically, which earlier you could never have thought of, right? I'm not getting into details here, but that's what I'm saying. Excel has 5 languages. One is the basic formulas and functions. You have Visual Basic. You have M code, which is Power Query. You have DAX, which is Power Pivot, and then you have TypeScript, which is JavaScript, which is a framework. My point is that Excel has so much to offer and they keep on increasing the ability. Like they have added this feature called Forecast, which is in Forecast sheet, this one, right? Just one click and it creates a forecast for you. I'll have to select a new data set. Believe me, we used to write formulas for all these things, right? As recent as 2 years back. And now I can just select my data. I can click on data and forecast sheet and look what it does. It automatically creates a forecast for me. Absolutely fine. I'm not customizing the options here, but look at this. You don't have to write all the formulas. It's doing everything for you. See guys, that's the future. The future is not that formulas will not be written. The future is that formulas A will need not be written by you because the system will do it automatically. You can just ask a question and it will automatically write the formula for you. That's how powerful the tools are going to become, and how a lot of people say, how will AI and ML impact our work? When I was an MBA student in 2009, I'm from the 7-9 batch. Believe me, that time also our faculty used to tell us AI and ML is very important. 10 years went by and we did not see any change happening, right? But change takes a lot of time. And now slowly we have started to see that change is impacting our daily lives, which 5-6 years back wasn't the case, right? So in the last couple of years, if you have seen, there are a lot of these small things that are coming, like this ability to add stocks. So I can just write, let's say Tata Motors. These are all new features, so you might not have them, but they will come eventually, right? So I can just click on a button, say Tata Motors. I can select the New York Stock Exchange. Then I can write equal to stock history, and it gives me the entire stock history for Tata Motors. Without having to move an inch, I don't have to go to any website. I can just select, let's say, the 1st of January 2020, right? I can write equal to stock history, select my stock, put my start date, put my end date, select my interval as monthly. I want to show the header. I want to select my open value. I want to select my close value. Press enter, and that's it. You get your entire history. So the entire concept of a financial guy coming into office, opening a website, going to the terminal, downloading the data, making an Excel file, saving it, sending it as an email, it's not required. The guy's job is gone, right? Because now I am the user of this information. I don't want to spend the time to go to the website and get the information from money control. That's okay. I can just write a function like this. So these small changes will make a very big impact, in the bigger picture. And it's not one function, no, it's many different things that are coming in both Power BI and Excel. Yeah, so back to the question you were asking, Excel, Power BI, and Python are the 3 most important things that you guys have to learn. Learning Power BI it's an ocean, right? You can't learn it completely. You can just take one bite at a time. I've been working on Power BI for 2.5 years. I gave my Microsoft certification. There's only one certification called DA100. I gave mine in May or June this year. I almost cried. It was so, I cleared it. I just barely cleared it. The 700 is the cutoff out of 1000. I got like a 708 or something like that. After working on it for 2.5 years, after spending 20 years on Excel, what I mean to say is that these are not tools you can just quickly learn. They're very easy to use in the first few days, but if you want to master it, people have spent 15 years working on Tableau, right? Same thing will happen with Power BI. These young guys like you all feel, oh, Power BI is so nice and so cool and I can learn it in a week and I'm smart. I'm not judging your ability or your sincerity. You guys are underestimating the tool. There is so much to learn in these tools if you go to advanced topics, even in Excel for that matter. That don't focus on learning more, focus on learning what you already know much better. Excel, Power BI, Python, that's it. Your world should stop and end there. Don't do anything other than that.
Havish, I think we need to wrap up. Students have prior commitments.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, guys. So I hope we are on the same page in terms of the trainings. And Rahul, of course, if you have any questions, you can come back to me then.
So you want them compiled in an Excel sheet, right? Or I'll share it?
No. So for now, we are not doing anything. I will be sharing a link, which is an Excel Google spreadsheet link. And then if anybody has anything to say, ask, they can put it on that.
Sure.
That's I'll share it. I'll share it with the details for downloading the software as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Great, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you,
I'll
Havish.
see you for the next session.
Sure.
Bye-bye.